Yes, it's John G. Sutton. Tales from the Jails. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at today's Guardian, you'll see that there's an article in there, in The Guardian, the national newspaper, by the journalist Eric Allison. It's concerning the conditions of HM prisons during this current exceedingly hot weather. I know Eric Allison. He's a friend of mine. He wrote a book in 1990 called A Serious Disturbance concerning concerning the riots at Strangeways. Yeah, and he and I wrote that book. I wrote part of the book, a chapter called A Prison Officer's Tale, which you can see if you get a copy of that book. It's available on Amazon. A Serious Disturbance by Eric Allison. And in today's Guardian, he's discussing the deplorable conditions in HM prisons in which inmates are being incarcerated for 23 hours a day in conditions that exceed like 80 degrees. I mean, it's torture. And as Eric Allison quite rightly points out, it's torture in the exact meaning of the term. Inmates are being put through purgatory. There are reports in Eric Allison's extremely erudite observations concerning the nature of inmates reacting to these conditions in which they are howling, barking, screaming, yelling, throwing themselves against the wall and screaming through the bars, but to no avail, because everybody's not interested in them. We're aware, as Eric points out, about the conditions in the hospitals. We're aware about the conditions in various institutions, and concerned about the guards at Buckingham Palace. But the inmates banged up in the likes of the Scrubs, Strangeways, Walton Jail, Wandsworth, Pentonville, Armley Jail, all these big old Victorian prisons, they're made out of stone. And the thing is, once the stone gets hot, it doesn't go cold like that. It stays warm, and it builds up and builds up. And as the heat builds up, so the heat in the prison builds up. I remember working in the Wormwood Scrubs in 1976, which was at that time, the hottest on record, and the actual place was purgatory. Everybody was absolutely wringing in sweat. It was diabolical. We tried at that time, because of course we weren't faced with the pandemic and all the rest of it. We tried at that time to help the inmates to maintain some degree of acceptability by letting them out of the cells. But even there, we faced one instance where they had a deliberate sit down on the yard because it was that hot. 6 staff, which is what we had, are not going to face 500 inmates sat down on a yard and say, get in or we'll attack you or we'll throw you in. I mean, I might have done a dozen or so, but not 500. Give me a break. Not Hercules, Who was it? Yeah, anyway, something like that. Definitely not. But listen to John. You read the Guardian today. You can get it online. Google it. The Guardian, today's Guardian. Look up Eric Allison. It's about the overheating in HM prisons and the diabolical conditions. But I notice that the government, obviously listening to somebody, don't think it's me, but they're listening to somebody, and they have just agreed to pay an increase to the wages of prison staff of £2,500 a year, which is a big step forward in my opinion, because they're offering 23,000 for a starting wage. And seriously, if you can get 27,000 to be a car park attendant in Manchester, yeah, and you're going to get 23,000 to work on the landings of Strangeways, what are you going to do? Yeah, park over there, sir, or get back in your cell. 12 hours a day, marching up and down the landings. I mean, those of you who have never been in, from the 1s to the 4s, it's about 60 steps all the way up. You're up and down them, 12 hours a day. In this heat, yeah, you're going to be suffering, yeah? Or are you going to be sitting in a nice little box, handing out tickets to people to go park the car? And you get an extra £3,000 or £4,000 a year for doing that. So here's to all the car park attendants. Good on you, lads. And as for the jailers, I feel really sorry. I mean, I escaped 37 years ago since I worked in the jails. Imagine that. And many people have said, you know, well, is that all you did? If that was all I did, well, I'd be a bit disappointed. Yeah, it's not all I did at all. Look me up. Google me. John G. Sutton. Yeah. I don't want to blow my own trumpet because as an Englishman, it's not something you do. Yeah. But basically, if you're interested, Google me and have a look. Yeah. There's loads on YouTube as well. World in Action, Walt Disney, you name it. Fox News. Yeah, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but it's there. And anyway, the article in today's Guardian by Eric Allison highlights the problems in HM prisons, and it's not being addressed. What should they do? Oh, they've all got their arms up. What should we do? We can't be soft on crime. Hey, not paying your TV licence isn't crime. Not paying your TV licence amounts to a protest, in my opinion. You know, that you don't want to watch Graham Norton or whatever, or cooking programs. Or have you seen how many programs they've got on there? Cooking Bee, or what they got more of them. We're getting inundated with. Do they not think we don't know how to get to Greg's? Yeah, what's wrong with a straightforward pasty? Yeah, or fish and chips. I can manage with that. Yeah. Don't need all these cooking programs. Then they've got these other ones. They've got a proliferation of programs about antiques. Nowadays, everybody thinks they've got a fortune. Yeah, a fortune in the attic. Yeah, I tell you what. How much do you think I get for this? Yeah. Do you know what that is? A mummified frog. Yeah. I call it Fat Fred. Because he had about as much brains as a mummified frog. Seriously. Anyway, listen, it's terrible. Let's all say a little prayer for the poor lads that are inside the prisons. And if they want a solution, listen, I tell you what the solution is. The right way to do this, and I know it seems like unthinkable, all inmates who have got less than 6 months to serve immediately exit the prisons. Just discharge them, release them into the community on license, yeah? And if they break that license, which is a standard probation license, if they break that license, then they're straight back in, and the sentence that they were serving is automatically doubled, or words, something like that. Or they go in and serve all the lot without remission. That would about do it, wouldn't it? Yeah. But if they did that, they'd empty the prisons. They'd take about 10,000 people out of the prison system, give it a little bit more space. All inmates with less than 6 months to serve discharged from the prisons, out of the prisons. It's unmanageable. They're talking about building an extra 10 prisons or something like that. Or is it 20 prisons? They're mad. Listen, imprisonment doesn't work. All it does is create people who hate society. What we want to do is to create people who actually want to be in society. Listen, I'm not anti-society, I'm not anti-management. I believe that with decent management, with decent government, people will understand. I mean, there's always going to be a criminal element, but that criminal element amounts to no more than 2 or 3%, less than that. In the meantime, I've had a request, and the request is from a man called Christopher Smith. Thank you, Christopher, who liked my poetry, by the way. And so he's requested a poem by Rupert Brooke called Heaven, which is a satirical poem, and there's something fishy about this. because the poem is a little poke at humanity's belief in religious fiction. Yeah, because I'm a spiritualist myself, and I do believe that there is a world beyond, but I don't believe that it's controlled by a man in long white robes who looks a bit like Jim Morrison from The Doors. No, I mean, let's face it. Please, I'm not anti-Christian. I'm not anti-Islamic or anything. I don't care if you want to believe in that, good. But don't expect me to believe that 2,000 years ago, the first miracle, yeah? Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, in the middle of the Middle East. Where are you going to find them? You go today. Go there today, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, have a look round. You're going to be struck to find them. First miracle, yeah? Then the other bit about walking on water. I've tried it. I got wet legs. In fact, I got a wet head because it was quite deep. Anyway, but then again, I'm not secretly beatified. So this poem is by Christopher Smith. It's a satirical look at religion, and it's by Rupert Brooke, and it's called Heaven. Fish fly replete in depth of June, dawdling away their watery noon. Ponder deep wisdom, dark or clear, each secret fishy hope or fear. Fish say they have their stream and pond, but is there anything beyond? This life cannot be all, they swear, for how unpleasant if it were. One may not doubt that somehow, somewhere good shall come of water and of mud, and sure the reverent eye must see a purpose in liquidity. We darkly know by faith, we cry, the future is not wholly dry. Mud unto mud, death eddies near, not here the appointed end, not here. For somewhere beyond space and time is wetter water, slimier slime. And there, they trust, there swimmeth one who swam ere rivers were begun, immense of fishy form and mind, squamous, omnipotent, and kind. And under that almighty fin, the littlest fish may enter in. Oh, never fly conceals a hook, fish say in the eternal brook, but more than mundane weeds are where, and mud celestially fair. For caterpillars drift around, and paradisial grubs are found, unfading moths, immortal flies, and the worm that never dies. And in that heaven of all their wish, there shall be no more land, say fish. There we are. Heaven by Rupert Brooke. This is Tales from the Jails, John G. Sutton. Do like, subscribe, all the rest of it. Thank you very much. Hey, and if you like my poetry, or this poetry, make a request. I'll try.